Good. Today we're doing a forklift pre-operational check on this little Toyota forklift here. First thing we need to do is we need to check the data plate, because the data plate is going to tell us how much we can pick up with this particular forklift. Why that's important is, if you look on there, the forklift can only pick up, example, 2,000 kilos, and your load weighs 2,500 kilos, you know you can't use the forklift, and you can actually stop here and find the forklift that you know will actually do it. Next thing we need to do is check the logbook, that is up with the serial or the phone number on the forklift. So in the back here, grab out that, I check the number, and the number is matching. So the serial and the serial number there is matching. Another thing we're checking while we're here is checking our manual. Now, back around here, we need to go through and do a visual check. So first of all, the forklift, we need to be checking our overhead guard that protects us from falling objects. Check our foot guard, protects us from objects falling down this way and down this way. And check our load guard. Our load guard actually stops objects falling into the mast and falling back onto the operator. We can also check the lights and the mirrors here, make sure they're actually attached. We check the mast for any rusted cracks, and make sure these safety labels are on there. No standing underneath and no standing on top of the blades. Next thing to check is the tyre. So on the tyre we can be checking for any damage on the rubber. We can check checking the wheel, this round disc here, for any damage, and check the wheel nuts. Make sure the wheel nuts appear to be securely fastened. And this here is our axle, and that's the maximum height to travel with the load on our forklift. Over here, check the side panels, make sure the side panels are in good condition, and check to make sure the seat is secure. Check our seat belt, pull our seat belt out, look for any cuts, wears and tears, and fraying. And make sure it locks into place. Moving back and forth, we need to be checking the light bar. So we're just actually making sure the lights are physically there at the moment. Further down, we can check our counterweight, and we can check the two big bolts in here that hold the counterweight in. Also check the tyres. So on the tyres, we're just checking the amount of tyre that we can physically see at the moment for damage. On this side, once again we're checking the overhead guard, the foot guard, and the load guard. We're checking the mast again for rust and cracks, and making sure the labels are there. Making sure also the lights and mirrors there, and this handle is secure. Because this handle is actually there for us to get on the forklift safely and get off the forklift safely with 3 points of contact. In the front, we need to be checking the tips of our forklift blades. I don't suggest running your hands along them, because if any sharp edges in it, it will cut you. Over here we're checking the heels, making sure there's no obvious damage or cracks. If you ever had load center distance on your forklift, and they talk about back to the vertical face or the heel, that's what they're talking about in there. So there's your heel, and that's the vertical face of the blades. We'll also be checking these locking pins. Make sure these locking pins are down and holding the blades into one of these notches. We can actually lift the pin and move it across into a new notch. We need to check the hoses and chains. Pretty much if they're running vertically, straight up and down, they're all good. And just make sure they're actually sitting in the pulleys and that the pulleys aren't damaged either. Now, next thing on this forklift, we need to check underneath the seat, underneath the bonnet, and check the batteries. So we go through, lift it up, and there's our battery. We can be checking the floats to make sure there's enough water in there. If it needed more water, we can actually add more water into the battery via that connected to a garden hose. Also check the terminals, make sure the terminals are secure with the positive there and the negative there. And we close that. underneath the floor, there's this plate. We can lift this plate out and we can check the hydraulic fluid. The hydraulic fluid is just located there. It's a big dipstick, and we check along there for the hydraulic fluid. On the end of it, depending which way you actually look, it could say 710 fluid or oil. And we place it back in. Now, we've done our walk around check. If there was an issue so far, we will tag it out, report it, and log it into our logbook. Now, when hopping on the forklift, we hop on with 3 points of contact. And we step in with my stomach facing the forklift. When we hop on the forklift, straight away we do up our seatbelt. The seatbelt will actually keep you safe in an incident. Now on our forklift here, we got certain controls. Over here we have our handbrake, we have our forward, neutral and reverse, we have our steering wheel, the steering wheel knob there for our left hand while we're driving the forklift, our light switch which is in here. If I turn forward, the lights come on. If I pull it back or push it forward, it's for my indicators. Over here I have my levers. The first one is for going up and down. The second one is for tilting it forward and tilting it back. And this one is for side shift, from going left or right. Now, what we're going to do now is lock the steering into place and adjust my seat so it's in the right position. Now, the next thing we do is to turn on the forklift. So when we turn on the forklift, being electric, there's going to be no vroom vroom sounds coming out of it. But it shows me how much battery charge I have, and if I push this symbol here, it shows me how many hours the machine's done. This is handy to know, especially when the forklift needs to be serviced. So the first thing to do is go through and check my headlights. So what I can do there is put my hands in front and I can see the reflection. At the back, check, make sure the tail lights are on. Turn them off and check my indicators. And we're going to check the other indicator. And now we're going to check the brakes. And as you can see, both brake lights are working. Now these orange flashing lights in this model forklift, they only come on when the forklift is actually in gear. So it can be forward gear or reverse gear. So with the brakes securely on to keep my cameraman safe, we'll show up the reverse light and I'll show you it's flashing. Okay, so that's all our lights. So our reverse beeper is an audible safety device, and we also have our horn. We'll check the horns right. Now next thing we need to do is go through and use these controls. Whenever using these controls, also make sure we're in neutral with our foot on the brake so the forklift can't move forward or backwards when we're going up and down. So we lift it a little bit and tilt it back. And we lift it up all the way, nice and slowly, to check the foot's moving. As we get to the top, we slide down. And we check for anything that may be dropping and to see if it starts lowering by itself. As we lower it down, we're also checking the movement. Because these masks are actually telescopic. Next thing we do is check our tilt all the way back and check our tilt all the way forward. And put it back in the middle. The last lever actually does our side shift. So we pull it back, side shifts to the right, push it forward, side shifts to the left. Now we place our mask back in the middle. driving, we have our forklift blades go to axle height or as low as possible. And the next thing we do is check our forward and reverse gears. So first of all, I place it in the forward gear, release my handbrake, and drive forward. And check the brakes. Going backwards, pick my shoulders first, pick my rear second before I start moving, and looking in the direction of travel. And we're going to check the full lock and full lock the other one. On this particular forklift, if I drive with the handbrake on, it's going to make a beeping sound, and that's telling me that the handbrake is on. Now, when I finish driving the forklift, I tilt my blades forward and I lower them down to the ground. Handbrake on, turn off the key, and remove the key to prevent unauthorised use. When exiting the forklift, we hold 3 points of contact. And now we do a walk around check. So we're making sure that the blades are on the ground, checking for any damage, checking for any oil leaks underneath there. And as we get to the back, we also want to be checking that we park it with the steering wheel straight. Once again, any problems, remove the key, tag it out, tag it, report it, and record it into your logbook. Bye for now.